Welcome to Nintendo Voice Chat for the week of April 2nd, 2015. I am your host, Jose Otero, and I'm joined once again by Brian Altano and Per Schneider.
Guten Morgen.
And let's get straight down to business, gentlemen. First thing I want to talk about before we get into the Nintendo Direct is, in fact, the Zelda delay, which was a punch to my gut on Friday. It was absolutely a punch to my gut.
Was it like a steak dinner sized punch to your gut?
It's one steak bet for anyone interested. There is one person who will not be named who I was brave enough to take the steak bet with because I thought what he was saying was absolutely ridiculous, and it was delayed for different reasons than what he was saying.
Yep.
But regardless, I'm in the hole, one steak. It's fine. However, let's just go to it. So Friday, Nintendo drops a video where Aonuma begins with, "We're sorry, but we've made some discoveries since 3 months ago when we said that we were going to have this game out in 2015, and we don't want to make that our target to make an inferior game," was basically what he said. I understand that he never used the word delay. The press release will say delay before an Aonuma says delay.
Right. Yeah, you're right about that.
So it happened. I'm devastated by this. I know plenty of people are. No one wants a bad Zelda. I get it. No one wants that rush to market. I get that too. But I wanted to believe them. I did. They were so confident about it.
They were. This was the first time, like, when we first heard about Zelda and the release this year, you remember our discussions on NVC. Some of us may have said, no way, it's going to get delayed till next year.
Some of us have lived through all of the delays.
Yeah, and then by the way, I went back and I looked at every single console game since the N64 days, and it happened with every single one of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Every one got delayed till the next year, and the statement usually was, as we're developing the game, we realize there's so much potential. We want to make sure we get this right, and so sorry, we're going to move it, right? Like, it's been the same story, but they were so confident in the Direct.
They said it during the Game Awards. They said it on Miyamoto's little YouTube tour. Like, I was like, I believe you. I want to trust you.
Yep.
I don't trust you anymore.
Yep. And like some people are pretty cynical about it and say they should just tell you from the beginning. I think they believe themselves, right? Like, they start building this game, and then, you know, with this game, this is the first time that they build a really large overworld like that, and that takes a lot of play testing. But you know, if you remember our feedback too, we felt like it was a little empty. Like what we saw in the demo, we were worried that you'd be doing a lot of riding through an empty landscape, and I think Twilight Princess already had some of those issues.
You've made the point in the past that Zelda games are extremely polished.
Yeah.
Like, that is something that every Zelda, for the most part, is, right?
Yep.
Very polished, very thought out, very well meticulously designed. So it takes time to make those things.
And the way other big open world games deal with that kind of that expanse and that living world is to create either leveling systems where, like, you're rewarded for repeat combat with enemies, or a new kind of like little side quests that pop up during certain times that you discover. Like Majora's Mask had those in a more limited fashion. So I think they ran into that and they said, we need to put more stuff into this world to make it interesting. That's fine. Look, I'd rather have the right game a little bit later. The only thing that's not fine is where that leaves their lineup for the rest of the year.
So Brian,
we don't know yet.
By the way, I wanted to say I think this is 100% an Amiibo manufacturer. All
right.
No, I'm kidding.
So, wait, do you have anything else you want to say before I ask you a question?
So, like, Per and I did a conversation about this in IGN immediately after this happened. Where obviously the wound was still kind of sore.
It's still fresh.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear it.
But I do feel like my issue with it is more like what you guys were alluding to, that I kind of wish we didn't ever think that it was going to happen. Had they just said, we're working on a new Zelda, then I would have been like, great, take your time. But to be like 2016 or 2015, it's happening, and then it's not, that's where it hurts. So I would rather, and I say this for every game, like, don't show me it, don't tell me about it until you're ready, and then don't tell me it's coming out until it's ready to come out. And I understand things get delayed. I have no concept how video games are made.
And they've done that before sometimes too. A Link Between Worlds was like, hey, Spring Direct, by the way, we're making a Zelda Link Between Worlds. And by the way, you can play it right now. And people got to play it that day.
The reality is, when this game comes out, it's going to be absolutely brilliant. It's going to be one of my favorite games of all time, I'm sure. So I'm not super angry about it anymore. Yeah. I'm sort of just like, when we get it, we'll get it, and it'll be awesome.
From a marketing perspective, 2016 works in their favor because it is the 30th anniversary of The Legend of Zelda in Japan. It came out on the Famicom in 1986 over there. Just like Mario's 30th is this year, although who knows what they're going to do with that. Is Mario Maker the only thing? But we're going to get to that. But the question for you, what the heck replaces Zelda at E3? I'm just, like, to me, the biggest horse in this race, the biggest thing that they had, the thing that 30 seconds of footage made everyone go crazy last
Yeah.
E3, and that needs time to be made. I get it. I'm not trying to sound unreasonable.
Yep.
But that is no longer part of 2015 lineup anymore.
It's not even part of E3, and that's what hurt.
That
honestly.
hurt even more.
Like, that's one thing. It's one thing to say you're not playing this game this year, and I'm like, damn, that hurts. But to be like, it's not going to be at E3. Like, E3 as a Nintendo fan is about that magic of when Reggie goes, but wait, we've got one more thing, and it's always like that. And it's like, then you see, or Miyamoto comes out with a shield. It's all I need. It's something like that. But instead, it's like, we won't be there. That won't be there specifically.
But then it may be at Gamescom then shortly afterwards, or focused on next year, or maybe at a Nintendo Direct, right, where they're showing games that are farther out. Like,
yeah.
I appreciate their focus with E3 on games that are coming out this year, but I will appreciate less if there isn't anything kind of sizable.
But wait
to
a minute. You don't show Zelda at a Direct. You don't, like, all the attention of the video game
right?
world.
They will.
All the attention of the video game world is at E3. Like, it still is. That traditional part of the video games business still exists. I don't care how many online presentations
I understand that, but to play devil's advocate, like, Nintendo has moved away from that over the years. Like, when we get like 4 or 5 Directs a year, those are all to lessen the fact that their E3 presentation is not what it used to be. It's a smaller, more intimate thing. It's a controlled thing. It's not in front of a live audience anymore. They do 3 days of Treehouse Live where they're playing games. Like, that messaging, instead of sort of apexing in one spot throughout the year, is now all these little spikes.
Sure, but look at, like, we're going to get into yesterday's Direct and talk about certain things that they showed, but look at how Directs sort of play out. They either start strong, they end strong, and then in between, you're either snoozing or you're enjoying one or two things that get announced.
Yeah, but
I don't know. I feel like at E3 they bring the thunder. They brought the thunder in the past. They still bring it in their digital presentations. They save their best stuff for E3.
So then, I mean, if you look at Nintendo historically, then you're right that this is a game of numbers, right? You get rid of Zelda, you either have a big 3D Mario, or you have some big blowout with Star Fox, which
some secret,
but which doesn't have the same impact, Or maybe there's a new 3DS Zelda, like maybe there's more.
Well, I think to the E3 crowd, a new Mario game, more in the vein of Galaxy, would have that impact, or a new Metroid game in the vein of Prime. But like, I find it hard to believe that, if they're focusing on 2015, that they'd be able to announce that at E3 and say, by the way, it's coming out later this year.
But they've done that in the past. No,
but
Mario
not with
3D
a
World,
mega.
But Mario 3D World was that game.
But that's a smaller Mario game.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
like, that game, that was the best co-op Mario yet. Like, it's not on the scale of Galaxy.
It's a
not
good game,
on
but it's not a Galaxy, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, it's not like, you don't go to E3 and go, new Super Mario Brothers. Like, that's not the same impact.
No,
like, it has to be like something much bigger than that, or something that can stand toe to toe with that.
You say that, but it's happened in the past where we got Pac-Man.
Yeah,
but
Pac-Man
those are dark days.
Okay,
GameCube era.
but
let's talk about that.
No, but I would argue right now right now there are dark days because Nintendo has to support 2 platforms at the same time, has a new initiative kicked off for PC and mobile, right? Like, the same development studios are getting split a little thin, I'd say.
Yeah.
And their big flagship title needs more work, right?
Mobile games don't need that many people working on them.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
But it's just one more thing to do.
Depends.
Yeah.
Team size varies, but the big console games need bigger teams.
Sure,
what I'm
Flappy
saying,
Bird was
Jose,
made by one guy.
What I'm saying, Jose, don't get your hopes up for like a Mario-sized reveal at E3. I just don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think so either.
I think the big focus at E3 will be Star Fox.
And I
They're
agree
gonna
with you,
try
and-
to make that into the biggest game. they
And
have.
that better be one hell of a game.
And then there'll be like a new Smash Brothers character based on user
Jose,
votes, that kind of stuff.
If
go ahead.
their plan was to have Zelda at E3 and to have Zelda come out this year, that was their big plan. That's not happening. The ceasing of that doesn't mean that they're suddenly going to materialize some Nintendo fanboy dream.
I'm not
I would
saying
love
that. Oh, no, and I don't want to sound like an unreasonable fan. All I'm saying is that right now, where Wii U's future was worrisome, it's especially troubling. Like what we're going to see come out of E3. Like, I really want to see what they bring to the table.
Yeah.
And I hope that it is some surprises. Nothing will replace Zelda. Let's be fair. Everyone who's listening to this knows that, and if you don't know that, get with it, bro. Like, or sis, whoever you are, like that. At the end of the day, like, nothing's gonna replace that game, and I completely have come to terms with that. But I can't help but be concerned for what is going to be the big tentpole thing that is going to attract new people to the
100%.
platform. You're not going to bring
100%.
anything, or I shouldn't say that. Let's see what you bring.
I think
That's
they'll
not
have
fair.
a couple of interesting projects, and like if you look at the Nintendo Direct, I mean, there's some very Japanese, very strange projects on the way, coming out next year,
Yeah.
that are already being teased. I got to think that there is some interesting software left for the US coming out this year that they haven't announced yet.
Yeah.
But I do think it'll be mostly about Star Fox, and I'm confident that game's going to look really, really cool.
Yeah, same.
And then there'll be a couple of smaller titles, maybe branded titles, focus on kind of like the Street Pass games,
Yep.
that kind of stuff.
Yep. All right, so last thing, cynically going around the internet, the illusion that history will repeat itself and that Zelda can end up an NX game.
Yeah.
To me, it's too soon to make that call.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. I understand, like, the easy call to make was Zelda was going to get delayed. I have come to terms with it. You've just listened to 10 minutes of us, roughly 10 minutes of us complaining about that fact.
Yeah.
But I do not for 1 second invest immediately in the hope that it's an NX game. I think whatever it ends up to be, let's see how next year turns out. Do they take advantage of that marketing opportunity and say, hey, it's 30th anniversary of Zelda, let's ship this thing on time to take advantage of that? It depends. Because for them, it's more about, is the game done? It's not about, will this market better?
Yeah.
We know that.
Like, I mean, when you look at what the Zelda game is, it is absolutely a game that could easily transfer to the next platform, right? Like, it's not that you need the Wii U setup for this game to work.
What about that
right?
second
Like,
screen,
it
though?
was-
What about that map? What about all that zooming?
No. But you don't really need that. Well, NX is going to use the 3DS as a second screen, so it'll be fine.
Sure.
Or the 1DS.
Hang on,
that's
I'm
coming
going to
out.
go invest.
No, but I feel like, technically, sure, it could happen. We don't know what's going to happen in development, but it feels too early. Like, I don't think that game's going to move to NX. I don't think you're going to see all that much on NX. I don't think you're going to see anything on it this year.
It's actually
Well, you're
moving
not. They've said-
exclusively to Android phones.
And on that note, it is